Sure. Can we do a mic check? Is your mic on?
Oh,
Testing.
Miss Wheelwright, would you do the roll call, please?
I will. We'll call to order it. We got a full house.
We've got everyone today.
We do. All right.
Verify yourself. Oop.
Councilmember White,
Here.
Councilmember Voigt,
Here.
City Manager Gibbs. Here. Interim Community Development Director Carol Kendrick. Here. Chair Betty Rader,
Present.
Vice Chair Rob Moran,
Here.
Member Brown,
Here.
Member Lawson,
Present.
Member Copeland,
Present.
Member Rader,
Here.
Member Beneke,
Present.
Member Goldstein,
Here.
Member Brannick,
Here.
Youth Council member, they have not appointed a member as of yet. Alternate member Marufo, he stated he would be absent this evening and asked for an excused absence. And that's it.
Thank you. Are there any requests? Oh, the one excused, absent. Shall we do the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any adjustments to the agenda?
No,
Or
ma'am.
any conflict of interest? Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone for public comment?
I have no written requests. Rudy, do we have any callers on the line? Rudy, can you hear us?
I have no callers on the line.
Thank you.
Thank you. Action items and public hearings and request. Approval of last meeting's minutes.
Move to approve the minutes of May 8th, 2024.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any objections, corrections? Thank you. We have a vacancy of the community member seat. Is anyone interested? Has anyone expressed interest in that seat?
We do have a current alternate, Mr. Marufo, and the alternates were selected in the event of a vacancy.
Okay.
So it's recommended that that be the process, but it's up to the committee
Okay.
to decide.
I know Mr. Marufo. I think he would be a great member. Would someone like to make a motion to move him into a permanent seat?
So moved. Second.
I don't really think we need a motion. I mean, the procedure of the committee is that the council appoints the alternates. They automatically move into the position if a vacancy occurs. Unless you want the motion. It doesn't matter, but I mean, I think procedure-wise, we've always had alternates who automatically move up to fill the vacant position, so.
I think
Anyway.
just the formality of an action wouldn't
doesn't
hurt
hurt.
just to.
Vote for it, then I'll vote yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And you'll let Mr. Marufo know.
Yes, ma'am.
Update of projects from the city staff. And we're going to discuss the downtown revitalization plan update.
Good
Hi.
evening, Chairman Rader. Carol Kendrick, Interim Community Development Director. I'd like to introduce you all to our new Economic Development Manager, Joel Belding. I will let him just briefly talk about his experience, and then he will go into our presentation.
Thank you, Carol.
So you're the reason everyone showed up today, huh?
Good afternoon, everyone.
But I'm Joel Belding. I've got about 25 years of city planning and redevelopment experience. I've worked for cities of Riverside and Irvine most recently, spent about 13 years there, working on some pretty exciting projects. And I'm here today to do as much as I can for this great community. So I thank you for the opportunity. So actually the first item we're talking about here is a sort of a major step forward, and one of the things that attracted me to the city. For a small town to be taking such big steps, I think is incredibly exciting. So I'm thrilled to be a part of this activity here. I don't know if this is showing on your screens, but we have an update for the downtown revitalization plan. It's a process that's been in the works for about 22 months. So just a couple slides here. This is getting ready for presentation to the City Council on September 17th, but this started in December 2022. There's been extensive outreach and plan formulation that's happened in between then and now. There was an update also on the progress in May to the City Council, and the plan's finally ready for public consideration and City Council consideration. And again, just to touch upon the area, the concentration of the plan, it's really 6th Street down to the freeway, and then Beaumont, both sides up to 11th Street. So really the sort of the core of the downtown. It captures a fair amount of residential properties, and then sort of the main commercial strip through the center and sort of the heart of the city. That's the focus of the efforts. So there's really 3 approaches that are talked about in the plan as to how best to achieve that revitalization effort. There's some physical redevelopment areas that are recommended to occur either with direct city action or by working with private property owners to transition some sites from older, less desirable uses to newer, more catalytic projects. There's also some city activities to update the regulatory framework under which development happens. So this is zoning code updates and changes to city processes to facilitate new development. And then there's also some operational changes, modifying how streets work within the city, and then also public programming within the area to sort of create more steady foot traffic in the area and increase public awareness of all the exciting existing and future opportunities that we have down here. So the redevelopment opportunities, again, there's about 9 sites that are identified in the plan. And it's really figuring out how to transition those to newer, either high-density projects or commercial projects that are tailored both for local service and then also for things that will pull people off the freeway and, again, increase the number of people that are visiting the downtown area on a regular basis. And that's also sort of pulling from the newer communities that may not feel as connected to downtown. It's really figuring out how to integrate the first-time home buyer here that's only lived here for a month, and then the long-time residents that have been here, completely born and raised. And again, it's sort of a mix of commercial and residential uses. The residential uses offered that opportunity of having sort of a captive audience here that are more inclined to walk and circulate to local businesses. And then also the commercial activity, again, to pull people in from other areas and to stop people from going outside of the city to seek services or retail opportunities that they may be doing today. Some of the regulatory updates that I mentioned, updating some of the allowable uses to make sure that we're focused more on the future. There's a lot of historic uses that are in this area, auto service and things that don't really fit with a new sort of vibrant downtown. And so adjusting the allowable uses in the zoning ordinance to make sure that we're focused on that future, more desirable land uses within the area. There's some development standards too, are also to make sure that new construction is really tailored to fit in with the existing framework, and we're focused on good architecture that's sort of timeless rather than what's the cheapest thing to produce today. And then there's some sign standards too that regulate both public signs there's one example here of sort of an archway, sort of gateway signs that the city would install to let people know they're in a special area within the city, and then also regulating private signage in the area, also to take advantage of some more historic sign opportunities that you may have seen in the 20s and 30s that were appropriate for buildings that were built at that time. And then there's also circulation changes that are recommended too. So the traffic circles also it's a way of smoothing traffic flow through the area, but still with a focus on safety to make sure this is a comfortable walking environment, that people feel safe crossing the streets. There's not high traffic, even though there may be higher traffic volumes. And then also looking at opportunities to increase public parking supply to take the burden off of private landowners of devoting critical land area to parking lots that don't really contribute much, but are still necessary. So really the goal of this overall plan is to create sort of again, the heart of the city, a very vibrant area that provides a mix of opportunities, housing and residential, economic and cultural, to be able to stimulate both this immediate area and then also really pull the entire city together. And then with that overall sense of day and night lively dynamic activities that are happening across the area. So the next steps are city council consideration on the 17th. If the city council chooses to adopt this plan, then this plan doesn't do anything immediately, but it really provides a framework for staff activities really over the next 2 decades. Major redevelopment work like this takes a long, sustained activity. So I don't want anyone to be concerned about that time frame. This is sort of a realistic approach. And so we need sort of focused efforts on a daily basis, but then with the long-term result of getting something that's far different from what you have today. And then again, because that we're talking about regulatory changes that will require zoning ordinance updates, potentially new business incentives, operational changes, capital improvement projects, there will be many milestones and opportunities both for the public to weigh in, for this committee to weigh in, for the planning commission to be involved, and for certainly the city council to be involved. So nothing will happen behind closed doors. This is very much a public activity, and we're really looking for public support and certainly commission and committee and council support for all these activities over the long term. And so this item is presented as a receive and file, so there's no recommended action or requested action at this point, but the committee is certainly welcome to provide whatever comments for forwarding to the city council that it would wish to make at this time. So that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. We'd like to welcome Mr. Joel Belding. I'm not sure anyone gave us your name.
Yep.
To the city, and we're glad to have you, and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
I have one, Madam Chair. The signage that we saw on that says downtown Beaumont, is that the sign we're looking at, or is that just preliminary?
So it's really just a concept at this point. That would be another capital improvement project where the city council, and certainly as we're making big steps forward with new types of signs, I think there's an opportunity for this committee to weigh in, the planning commission and the city council to weigh in certainly too. So it's really just, I think this is referencing, I think UKIPA has this sort of, and this is sort of a typical gateway type sign that sort of bridges a street. And so, but it's not a specific design. It's just a concept that's presented in the plan.
Thank you, Joel, and welcome.
Thank you.
I read that plan a couple months ago, and then we didn't meet, or I missed a meeting or something. But anyway, I'm trying to recollect. I had some notes that I put down, and I actually lost the notes. So, but I remember specifically one thing that was addressed as a problem, but I never found a solution to that problem. I mean, I couldn't figure out. I mean, it's like 200 some pages or something. Anyway, the problem cited was these small lot sizes, and in dealing with streetscape and traffic flow patterns and parking, and trying to create maybe a vibrant downtown with the addition of some exciting restaurants and different kinds of fairs of that nature. But in going through the whole thing, it never really addressed how we would solve or could solve or even want to solve these small lot sizes, because in order to get some things happening, you're going to need to put some land together. And I don't know if it's the responsibility of the city to maybe set aside some funds to start purchasing some land, or figuring out a way to maybe accomplish getting some land together that would make sense to a business that would want to come and be active in the downtown area. Mm-hmm. So that's a question I have.
So I think there's a couple different approaches. If you have a small lot and the city takes the burden of parking away, then you can maximize that lot by building the biggest building that you can fit on that site that still complies with all the zoning standards. And so that's one approach, and that's discussed in the plan of sort of a way to take the burden, to split the burden really for new development. And then also obviously land assembly, where you find developers that's willing to buy up a couple properties and then consolidate those to be at multi-story buildings where you have single-story buildings today, or maybe the city's maybe that first act or two in that situation of as sites become available, the city council says, let's go buy up additional properties, and then we go find a developer that then will bring in and build a project that the city wants. So I think there's a couple different approaches that could be taken there.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So you had mentioned something about auto repair, and there certainly is no shortage of auto repairs. I think there's more auto repairs than actually autos in Beaumont right now. So how do you move some of these old businesses out so we can bring in a business that attracts, foot traffic and, something other than dropping your car off and leaving? How does it work?
So there's a couple different approaches. There's more costly approaches where the city just goes and negotiates with the property owner and purchase that. There's some regulatory changes you could make where non-conforming uses over time sort of expire. But that's sort of that would be a big policy question for the city council to deal with. And so I don't want to shortcut that conversation. That could be something for a future council discussion as to, once this plan's in place, it sort of sets a big vision, then what's the most effective way to move forward, the most cost-efficient way for the city to move forward, and the fastest way to transform this area. So I would envision that there will be sort of higher-level policy discussions at city council as this plan moves forward.
So the goal is more retail and foot traffic and gathering spots rather than industrial type business?
So I really think the goal is, if you think about sort of historic downtowns that you like to visit, and I don't know, if downtown Pasadena sort of makes sense, or the newer areas of Temecula, or even parts of Yucaipa or Redlands, where you have that really sort of historic core, it's really sort of going backward in time to recreate what was here at one point. To have where somebody could park once and then walk for a couple hours, hit a couple stores, have a nice lunch or dinner or something, and then maybe walk back to their house even if they lived in this area. And so it's really sort of going back to what Beaumont used to have before the freeways was built and all the auto service type uses were brought in here. And so it's that mix of uses where someone could live, work, and recreate all within this area.
Are there any historic buildings there currently?
So I haven't been long enough to know designated historic, but there's certainly sort of that historic form of building right on the sidewalk, sort of that historic, and there's certainly plenty of historic houses that are in this area. And so looking at preserving the historic character of the original buildings that were here while still bringing in new uses. But there's certainly the design guidelines look at where you do have new construction, how do you make it fit with, there's sort of a pretty diverse mix of architecture in this area. And so how do you best sort of polish the edges of a project to make it fit well within the neighborhood so that it doesn't stand out as very contemporary, very sort of an architecture that will expire, that will look outdated within a couple years. And so there may not be so many historic buildings, but there's a way to sort of create a more timeless downtown.
There's a lot of cities, Milwaukee's done a good job of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Keeping the old buildings and then creating new ones that look like the old ones. So they're already dated 100 years, so we don't have to worry about them dating
Precisely.
even further.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I noticed in the economic plan that there were several conceptual designs. Is there any particular one that we're leaning towards, or is that down the road?
We're at the very starting points of this entire thing. And so figuring out, and a lot of the sites that are identified, the city doesn't control in any way. Those are privately held. And so it really comes down to whether, if there's land assembly necessary, whether that's can be accomplished, whether the private landowner has their own thoughts, or whether the city gets directly involved. And so those are really meant just sort of as what could you do on the site rather than what you should do on that site, just to show that things can be redeveloped to get bigger and better, or just bigger and different. And so this plan doesn't commit the city or any private owner to any particular direction on any site.
And is there any particular metrics that we want to hit in terms of increasing employment in the downtown area?
So that's not a specific target, but that's certainly an overarching goal of this area, is to increase really every opportunity to shop, to work, to recreate, to live. And so that may be one of those things to make sure, once we have the plan in place, how do we know if we're making progress on it or not? So you're right, those key performance indicators will be probably something at least sort of internally that we're tracking, so that we can, if asked, show progress and sort of justify our existence here. So, yeah.
thank you. Obviously, in a very short period of time, he's really got his act together. We did meet briefly, and if you could just update us on the plans for the street fair, everyone was.
Sure. So we're planning another street fair with the success of the summer program. I think there's interest in continuing that, particularly also marketing outside the city to pull in people that may never have been here before. But again, timing that for the Blizzard Bash day, so it's really sort of school lets out the day before, and so the kids are free on Christmas break. So hey, let's throw a big city party, and so Blizzard Bash during the day, circuit, and then transitioning into the market night at night. So again, so that all our great restaurants can be out there, all our great retailers have an opportunity to introduce themselves to new visitors too.
Thank you.
So I was told that it possibly will be in the spring and the fall when it's cooler. Is that what they're talking about?
So I think, right, so we're looking at potentially a year-round program, not every night or every week, but a regular series of these types of things. It's popular with the vendors, it's great with the public, and so just to sort of build that into active city life. Again, focused on the downtown, bringing people down here, supporting local businesses that are here today, and then also sort of as encouragement for people that are thinking of relocating here to think, oh, once a week I have 5,000 people that are passing in front of my front door. That's a great opportunity and sort of assurances for people that want to take a chance here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yep.
I can't remember, I didn't brush up on this all the way, but is there any discussion about workflow for a new business coming in and kind of looking at the framework of the throughput there?
Yes, there is. So that's part of that zoning ordinance update too, is making sure that we are sort of scaling our entitlement process to the businesses, and then also always looking at, is there other ways for more efficiency within that? When someone comes to the front counter, how long does it take them to get a building permit and fees, and really that entire life cycle for when they have an idea to when they can actually start that idea. So yes, that's being evaluated.
Great, I think a good KPI to add as well.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I have another question. Timeline for getting something to happen. We got a plan, got some money. When is it gonna happen? And what first will happen to get people starting to think and get excited about what the possibilities of downtown could be like? i.e., do we set up, the streetscape first with lighting and flowers and nice sign, welcome to Beaumont? And we still have vacant lots and we still have old buildings. We don't have, what's the approach? I mean, we've talked about this. I've been here since 2006. I've been talking about downtown since that time. And I'm not getting any younger. I'd like to see something happen, even if it was some nice street lights and maybe little flower pots or something. Anyway, I know it's up to the council to make that determination, but I would hope that as we move forward, we show some progress in that direction. And I know the plan has a lot of good details in it. A lot of things probably will not cost that much, but they'll embolden the project to move forward. And maybe when you bring potential customers, they'll imagine, well, this could be a really great place to do business. Anyway, I think we need to move in that direction.
So that's certainly my mission here, is to get as much done as quickly as possible. So near-term things are potentially some new business incentives that sort of address some of the impediments to getting our money out into people's hands. There's street improvement work that can happen that's programmed, that's funded to start cleaning up 6th Street. There's the 3 buildings that the city either owns or is a partner in for attracting new tenants and setting up some incubators here. So that's sort of near-term activity. The zoning ordinance update, that's another near-term activity. Additional property acquisitions and working with private property owners to help transition their properties, that's maybe sort of a midterm goal. And then also, I think once we have some demonstration projects that are in place, then that sort of creates its own center of gravity to start attracting people outside, independent of what the city does. And so, but again, this plan according to the consultants at least, this is a multi-decade plan to really transform this area. If I'm a homeowner and I live within this boundary, I don't immediately sell my property and transition that. So there will be some properties that wait until much later in the process, but there's certainly enough on the city's plate to be able to, and city direct activity, to start making some big visible changes in the area, and then ideally sort of prime that pump and then start some activities that, independent from what the city's doing.
Just, the city has done some beautiful work with new street lights that are very nice. And they've been working all over the city on the handicap crosswalks. And then we've been doing, I believe, some colored cement work. So we have started in small ways to move forward, and it's been very positive and very fast. 'Cause I get to see it every day. Okay, thank you very much.
Madam Chair, may I make a comment?
Pardon?
May I make a comment?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna mention the streetlights. We had a council meeting once, and there was a streetlight right here. Very decorative. I also wanted I think it was, somebody suggested, which we have already done, which is set aside money to purchase properties in the downtown. I think we're in escrow on the dry cleaners. And so we are moving that way, but I think the streetlights will do exactly what you're saying. It's saying, look, we're looking to put an investment here, and here's our start. So I think we were trying to get it for Beaumont Market Nights, and we just didn't get it done in time, or there were some issues with that.
Like everything else, there's supply chain issues. So everything, all the conduits run, they're 75 feet apart. They will be between 6th Street and 8th Street. We're waiting on the poles and the light fixtures to come in, and hopefully before the winter market nights, they'll be in. The stamped concrete will go 6th to 8th Street, both sides of the street. They're starting at 6th Street. They're conscious of business and not interrupting the businesses in the area, and so they're doing one side, and then they'll come back and do the other side. So there's progress being made already. And we've already looked at decorations for the winter festival that's coming.
Thank you. Okay. Shall we move on? I'm trying to let you off the hook is what I'm trying to give you a break. It's kind of, difficult the first time. Are there any other committee discussions? I'm sorry. Do we have any reports? We'd like to.
Well, excuse me a second, Madam Chair. I wanted to ask Joel, I always ask the previous person what kind of businesses are coming to our area that we know of, new businesses, because it's exciting. We can share that with our neighbors. Do you know of any new businesses that are coming to our area at this present time? I know you're new.
Sure. So there's a Filipino restaurant opening up and a small boba cafe that's, I think, a subtenant within there, or sort of a partnership. Yes, I forget the address. I don't have things fully memorized yet.
Did you mention that Boston?
Yes.
That's what you mentioned?
Yes, right. So there's an opening. I won't be here for that, but there's a grand opening on Saturday.
Yes.
And then they'll be in operation. So another exciting food use. And then also Boston Pizza will be opening up over by Walmart here within the next couple of weeks.
In the old,
Actually,
in the old
Saturday.
Victor's.
There we go, Saturday.
We just got word, so they'll be opening on Saturday.
Yeah, all right.
So, and part of that sort of near-term activity is working with the HOAs to if I buy a house here, I immediately know where all the good restaurants are, all the restaurants are.
Sure.
And then for these types of things where a brand new restaurant's opening, creating that sort of regular dialogue with HOAs to notify their residents that there's something new for you to check out, to really sort of send that message that we're here to support every existing business that's here and future businesses that intend to locate. So really having the city amplify and serve as supplementary advertising for those new businesses that may not have a huge advertising budget on opening day.
Thank you.
Well, you stole my thunder on the Boston Pizza. I did want to let the committee know that we have a downtown business meeting scheduled on September 24th at 6 p.m. That's going to take place in our gym. We're going to have that catered. And again, we're trying to get the businesses together and have discussions on how to improve the downtown. We will have a representative from the fire department to talk about upcoming annual annual inspections, and just keeping that community abreast of what we're working on, or providing a platform to where they can bring issues up to staff or things that we can work on.
What time is that?
It is at 6 p.m. on September 24th, right next door. And then we do have quite a few planning applications in. Primarily, it's industrial, but we have some commercial that have come in and or are being submitted in the next few weeks. Pretty exciting. Can't disclose who the tenants are right now, but I think the community, I think this committee and the City Council and Planning Commission will be very excited when we can release that information. But yeah, we are seeing some commercial shopping centers being submitted. And so we're definitely excited to see that come through. And then we do have another addition to community development. So I just want to briefly introduce Melody Arachiga. She's our new senior planner. She started last Tuesday. So she's jumped in and has been a great help to planning and community development. So you'll probably see her face around here, and she'll be helping a lot on the planning realm as I work on other duties. But I just wanted to introduce her to you, and that's all I have.
Welcome. Welcome. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, reports. Vicki, do you have any reports? No, not this time. Mr. Belding? I'm sorry, Beneke? I'm sorry.
Well, see, I just want to relay, I've talked to a lot of people in the community. July 4th, the July 4th celebration, the fireworks, A+. That drone show it blew everybody's mind. I mean, it was so fantastic. You're expecting the same old, and we get this drone show. I mean, I'd say if we can just get the drone show next year, that would be great. We don't need the fireworks show. But anyway, it was a talk of the town for a while, and I had not had an opportunity, since we have not met, to kind of express that to the powers that be here in this room. And it was kudos to those who got that together. That was fantastic.
Thank you. Mr. Moran? Mr. Brown?
Just very quickly, representing the Beaumont Unified School District, and we're up and running. School started. We're about a month in. We're currently at 12,500 students, which is, we're growing at a rate of about 3 to 4% per year. In raw numbers, that looks to be about 375 to 425 students, additional students every year. And so, for some perspective, most of our elementary schools are about 800 students. So by numbers, realistically, we should be building an elementary school about every couple of years, every 3 years about, which we have not done in a while. So the last school we built was Summerwind Trails, and that was actually 3 years ago. And so what you'll see in November is on the November ballot, Measure E, which is our bond measure, and we're going out for the least amount, the minimum amount that we can request, which is $28 per originally assessed $100,000 value of each home. So the median home is valued at about $400,000 in Beaumont. And so for $112 a year, which is $28 of that per $100,000 of originally assessed value, about $112 a year we have in the plans to build 2 additional schools, one TK-8 school and one elementary school, and then also remodernize 2 of our oldest schools in the district, which would be Palm and San Gorgonio, which those are our preliminary plans right now. So just want to make that announcement, and when you're out, think about us in November. It's the way the system works. We get community money to build schools, and then we get a match from the state, but we don't get a match unless the community chips in and we pass a bond. So it's Measure E, excellence in education, and you'll see it in November. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Mr. Rader?
Yes, as far as the hospital goes, we've opened up our stroke center as of July 1st. We're still waiting for the EMS survey, which means ambulances will stop at our hospital to let stroke patients be attended to. That's a survey that's EMS, they're a large organization in charge of ambulances. And so we're waiting, that should have been August 1st. Hopefully it'll happen very soon to get that survey done so we can get more patients taking advantage of our stroke center. It's up and running 110%. So hopefully we can save some patients and have good results from that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lawson?
Very quickly, Madam Chairperson, Mount San Jacinto is still there. We have opened our brand-new STEM building down at San Jacinto. If you happen to be in the area, stop by. I'll make you a cup of Keurig coffee and give you a tour. We're very excited about it. We're at capacity. We've been adding classes left and right. We've had to now stop. And so we have wait lists that are overflowing, so we're very excited about that. With that, I'll stop, and then on a side note, very quickly, I've told students and folks all day today, sometimes we don't realize how blessed we are. And in our incredibly busy days, I hope that everyone today will take just a moment to send positive thoughts and prayers, if you're a praying person like me, to the families that lost almost 3,000 people in New York 23 years ago. So we get so busy, I hope that we never forget and realize just how blessed we are in this country. So I'm done.
Thank you. Mr. Kovler?
Actually, I wanted to reiterate something Mr. Beneke said about the 4th of July celebration. The drones were state-of-the-art, absolutely phenomenal. I would love to see no fireworks of a explosive kind in the future and have it all be drones. People in our community, Mr. Goldstein and I live in the same community. People are talking about that then as well as now. Kudos to the city. And whoever came up with the idea, kudos to them too. The only other thing I have is I'm getting very, very close to working with a restaurant to open up a new operation here in Beaumont. Sit down, and we're keeping our fingers crossed that things go smoothly on that. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Councilman
welcome,
White?
sir. Welcome, sir.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Mr. Holstein?
Well, we'd have to keep this off the record because my doctor and wife can't know this, but I went to the barbecue bash. It was really good. I bought the $100 8 taste and OD'd on barbecue that day. Like I said, don't tell my doctor. Thank you. Oh, and by the way, I'm a big fan of the drones as well. It's a lot more environmentally friendly. It's techie, and the young people really like that. And we should do that more often. Let's just not do it on the 4th of July.
Councilmember Boyd?
Yes, I just wanted to say welcome. Thank you for that report today and jumping in feet first into all of this. And thank you to the staff that have continued to work feverishly to push this forward. This is exciting for Beaumont, and I'm excited to see it to continue and move forward. So thank you all for your participation as well, because it's your feedback that helps us guide the council at times. And I just want you guys to know that you are appreciated as well for being here and helping to guide that process. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gibbs, did you have anything you want to add? Okay, anyone else? Thank you. I have a few things. Boston Restaurant, they like to be called Boston Pizza. Next Tuesday is actually their ribbon cutting at noon. So they're opening on Saturday, you say?
Yes.
Okay, but we're going to do the ribbon cutting. Apparently, there will be people from out of town. The new restaurant, I cannot pronounce their name, so we're going to call them Kazaba. Their grand opening is Saturday at noon. We'll do the ribbon cutting. Edward Dean is having a large wedding event on September 22nd. That's a Saturday. So they have hired 2 new people to operate the museum. The county has put quite a few $1 million into some renovations they're going to do. The new person that's running it has already booked 13 weddings. So I think our museum is going to become very prevalent in our area, and so we're working with them, and I think we'll be hearing a lot from them in the future, and that's a really good thing, because a lot of people don't know it's there, and it's really beautiful. Reservations are closed for Good Morning Beaumont. I want to thank everyone at the city that helped us move the location from Noble Creek to the Chatney Center. We really appreciate that. And on September 19th is our State of the City. Everything is moving smoothly for that. We're really excited. We have about 30 seats available, so hurry up and get your reservations in. And that's all I have for reports. Any topics for new future agendas? I have one. We have to have the election for 2025.
Oops.
I thought we extended the terms last time.
We did to 2024.
I
So,
thought we went like 5-year terms or something.
Yeah, I thought so too, Lloyd. I'm sorry.
I feel so casual in my methods. After, following Mr. Lawson over here and he knows how to run a meeting. So we probably should formalize that in some fashion. Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, I adjourn.